The Agenda with Steve Paikin is made possible through generous philanthropic contributions from viewers like you. Thank you for supporting TVO's journalism.
Tonight on The Agenda.
We've been making wood products, lumber and pulp and paper for 250 years, and we've been doing the same thing over and over again. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity to innovate our forests and our supply chain.
Then,
we have to look at our environments, not for what the architecture is, but what it does, and what it does to your physiological, your psychological, and your biological health.
Then, later on The Agenda.
Tropical fruits in Ontario, from anything from citruses, oranges, kumquats, bananas. It's just an endless assortment of stuff that you can actually grow in Ontario without a greenhouse.
There may be one in your community. You may swim, be healed, or borrow a book inside of them. They are eye-catching and often spectacular. We're talking about mass timber buildings. They're mostly used now in public structures such as community centers, universities, and healthcare facilities. But our guest tonight will tell us that mass timber buildings could also help this province and country fill its affordable housing gap. And with that, we're joined by, in our nation's capital via Skype, Steve Kraft. He's principal with CHM Fire Consultants. And here in our studio, Philip Silverstein, principal at the architecture firm Moriyama Teshima. He's also coordinating construction of Limberlost Place at George Brown College in Toronto. Christopher Williams is here. He's a vice president at Timber Systems. That's a Markham, Ontario-based manufacturer of mass timber. And Ann Coven, a forester by training, now director of the Mass Timber Institute, also here in Toronto. And it's great to have you three here at our table. And Steve, thanks for joining us on the line from the nation's capital. And just, I think we got to start, Christopher, to you first. There'll be a lot of people who have no idea what we're talking about here. So let's just start with how mass timber is made to begin with that ends up building a building.
Certainly. Well, mass timber, just as a general concept, is large sections of timber that are made from smaller members of timber. So not like plywood or strand board, but 2x4s and 2x6s that are engineered and glued together in a fashion that allows us to make larger pieces that are more predictable from an engineering and strength perspective, that allow us to have the predictability that we need as engineers and designers to build larger and more complicated structures than we traditionally have.
Hardwood, softwood, doesn't matter?
It's all softwood. Technically, you could do it with hardwood, but all of the construction material that's done for timber construction in Canada is usually softwood lumber, primarily spruce pine fir or Douglas fir.
Okay, and I gather the technology behind all this started in Austria, which may be a bit unusual because you would think of a place with massive forests as being the place where this started, and they don't there. So how did that happen?
Yes, it's a curious question, but I think it really has to do with innovation. And the Austrians are very small land base, could easily fit many times over into Ontario, very little wood. Wood's expensive. And so really, I think their first motivation for innovating, exploring, developing mass timber products is really sustainability. They wanted to use every scrap of wood that they could for an engineered wood product. And so when you look at sustainability, the less wood you can use and optimize its sustainability by way of its cost, by way of, with respect to climate change, sequestering CO2. There are many ways to be sustainable, and I think the Austrians have done a good job in introducing it to us. And I'm excited because we've been making wood products, lumber and pulp and paper for 250 years, and we've been doing the same thing over and over again. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity to innovate our forests and our supply chains.
This is new, no question about it. All right, let's talk about from an architectural perspective. What's the appeal?
The appeal? Oh, there's probably 100 things I could talk about. It's beautiful, it smells great, but really the appeal is the sustainability, the sequestering carbon nature of the material. It can be regrown. Concrete doesn't grow in trees, neither does steel. But to have a material you can use as your structural system that can be grown harvested, it sequesters carbon. It's a miraculous material. It's a fifth the weight of concrete. And has the same structural properties or similar structural properties to concrete and steel. So it's a miraculous material, and the speed of construction, the labor force is lower than most traditional construction methods. So the appeal is really the sustainability.
Let's go to Steve in Ottawa, because we want to bring our fire expert in at this point. And I know we've only been talking for a few minutes, but I can imagine people watching this or listening to this saying, wait a second, what about fire? So what if people are going to ask, can't this stuff go up in fire? Can't it go up in flames? Is it as safe as steel and concrete? You've been doing the experiments. What do you know?
Yeah, so for the last 15 years, we've been doing fire tests on mass timber, both fire resistance tests. We've been doing tests on evaluating how it contributes to a fire in a building. And at the end of the day, we can design a mass timber structure to perform from a fire resistance perspective, so the ability to stay standing and in place for the same durations as we build steel and concrete buildings for. And we've also looked at, from a fire perspective, the performance of how the mass timber impacts the fire. So at the end of the day, we want to see that if we build a tall mass timber building, that it's going to perform similar to traditional materials, concrete and steel. And so what we're looking for is we want to see that in the event that the sprinklers fail to control the fire in the building, we want to see that the building's not going to be adversely, or it's not going to be impacted beyond what a steel or concrete building would happen. So we want to make sure that that building's not going to, for example, burn till it collapses, like we commonly see with perhaps a single family home.
So let me just clarify this, Steve. Steve, let me just clarify. Is a building out of wood intrinsically more flammable than a building made out of steel and concrete?
Intrinsically, yes. It will contribute to the fire, but at the end of the day, what we're looking for is performance that would be comparable to a steel or concrete building. So these buildings are sprinklered, and so it's rare that we would see in a high-rise mass timber building a fully developed fire. But in the case that we do, we want to make sure that the building's designed such that that fire can burn out on its own and not challenge the structure.
Gotcha.
And that's what we expect from traditional construction, and that's what we design mass timber buildings for.
Gotcha. Okay, Christopher, take us back 10 years. We know the amount of timber construction that was taking place then to today. Where are we today compared to then?
Well, traditionally, like we've been doing timber systems, mass timber structures for over 40 years. And I think most of your viewers will be familiar with community centers and schools and churches and seeing timber in those kind of contexts. The last 10 years, the real change has come in the typologies of the buildings that we're looking at. Tall structures, for instance, in 2017 at the University of British Columbia, they built an 18-story timber building for a residence. And that was really groundbreaking in Canada to have a building that tall. And to use the material in that kind of typology was quite groundbreaking. Now in Toronto, there are multiple buildings either completed or under construction that are 12 stories or taller. You know, the Limberlost project that Phil's working on was a tall building. We're working on one right now, a 14-story building at U of T. So those kind of markets just weren't open to the industry 10 years ago. So while we do continue to do the more traditional buildings, the ability to expand the range of delivered projects in the built environment has greatly expanded.
Philip, can you do like a 60-story condo out of timber at this stage of the game?
It's possible. It's technically possible.
It is.
And there's actually systems dialogue, and Ellis Don have developed a system that they think the sky's the limit. Now, would you want to do that? I don't know. Wood's very light, like I mentioned before, a fifth the weight of concrete. So a light building doesn't do well with lateral. So you have to put dampeners at the top. I think the tallest timber building right now is in Milwaukee, 24-story, the Ascent Tower.
And what is that? Is that an office building or?
It's a residential. Residential,
okay.
Yeah. And you know, so 24 stories is it's doable and it's happening. In Toronto, I think the tallest right now will be the U of T tower, the U of T Tall Academic Tower. But really, the sweet spot is once you go above 6 stories, There's 6 to 18 is the sweet spot for mass timber.
How come?
Well, once you go beyond, it's all about efficiency of material, and I think that once you're, 1, 2-story multifamily, multi-unit residential, lightwood frame still is the most economical material. You can build a 6-story residential building out of stick frame, and you can do it out of mass timber, but it may not be as economical.
And what would be the obstacles in place that would be preventing us from diving truly headlong into this kind of operation?
Well, certainly from the forestry point, and I am a forester, and recall that the supply chain begins with forests. It begins with trees, so I have a slightly different perspective. And as I tell my students, I teach at the University of Toronto, the Daniels Faculty of Architecture, Landscape and Design. Because we've been doing the same thing with our forest products for many, many years, it's very difficult to do something different. And Harold Innis, a great political economist from U of T, criticized our extractive industries for doing the same thing over and over again and really having us become a staples economy overly dependent on the extraction of resources. I have found in my 35 years of observing forest management in Ontario that we have a very, very wonderful system. The forest industry around the world would criticize what we do in Ontario as being overly expensive and overly burdensome and difficult for the forestry industry to comply with. But I think as a result of our regulations and legislation since the early 1990s, we in fact have a plentiful and sustainable forest supply chain for a new product.
That's the key, isn't it?
Yes,
Sustainability.
Sustainability, but also innovation. I don't even think we have to look at being additive to the amount of wood that we're shipping to the US, for example. I think that we can replace softwood lumber with much highly more valuable mass timber products, which are 7 times the value of lumber.
Well, let me ask Philip about that. Do you have a sense yet, I know we've been at this 40 years, but do you have a sense yet whether these buildings made of mass timber as opposed to concrete and steel hold up longer? Do they need less maintenance? Are they as strong, etc.?
Well, no mass timber building has gone through end of life yet. So it's still that new that we haven't seen cataclysmic failures or end of life. So, but the building I'm in right now, the building our office is in, is a 100-year-old heavy timber building. So it's not mass timber, it's heavy timber. There's a distinction there. It'll last forever. There's no maintenance required. There really isn't much needed for concrete either. Steel, if there's fireproofing on it, you may have to touch it up if it gets damaged, but there's very little maintenance that's required, and it could last indefinitely. It's inert. The material is essentially inert once it's installed.
What about the cost? The cost of building a mass timber building versus concrete and steel?
Generally speaking, on the material side, there is a bit of a premium on timber compared to concrete and steel in the cost of the structure itself. The other side of the equation is in most of the structures, you want to conceal the concrete, conceal the steel. They're not really used to express the aesthetic of the building, which in a wood building is almost always part of the sale. So people are looking to express the structure. And then also in a lot of the buildings that we do, they tend to be architecturally ambitious structures. So by their very nature, they tend to be somewhat more expensive buildings to build than a bog standard rectangle. So the future, and I think a lot of these items, is to get into the more mainstream economical and talking about affordable housing units where the accent is not so much on the exceptional, but more on the standard to sort of bring that sustainability and that product more into the mainstream.
Steve, can you talk to us about how the building code has changed over the years in order to accommodate more mass timber being used in construction?
Absolutely. So in 2020, the National Building Code changed to allow for mass timber construction. So at that time, for the first time, it recognized mass timber construction to be different than light frame wood construction. And it allowed buildings up to 12 stories. We're just nearing the end of the next building code cycle, which the next building code, National Building Code, will be published in 2025. And the heights will still be 12 stories, but there will actually be more exposed mass timber permitted. So based on testing that we've done, it's demonstrated that we can have a little bit more exposed mass timber within the building and it still be safe.
Christopher, is the demand for this yet there?
Certainly, and the demand at this point is higher than the capacity domestically to meet it. There are European companies that are bringing in mass timber products into Canada, even though Canada does produce our own. As the popularity of the material has grown, the domestic capacity, even though we do quite well meeting it, can't meet all of the demand right now. But there is growth within the Canadian marketplace for sure.
Philip, there's definitely a look about this that is distinctive, right? I walk by that building at U of T every now and then, and it sticks out like, it's the wrong expression to say sticks out like a sore thumb, because there's nothing sore about it. It is beautiful, but it is absolutely different from everything else around it. So it kind of takes your breath away when you look at it. But I wonder, when people decide they want to build these things, how big a part of the argument is sustainability, carbon sequestration, climate change, all of those kind of things in deciding to go this route?
Right. You know, actually, I love this question because I'd say 10 years ago, we had to fight for it. We would push for it. And we have one of our senior partners in the office, Carol Phillips, has been a proponent of sustainable architecture and mass timber for a long time. But we don't have to anymore. A lot of our clients are coming to us saying we need to decarbonize. We know that the construction industry is responsible for about 40% of the world's carbon emissions, as greenhouse gas emissions. They know that they're part of the problem. As architects, what we design gets built, so we have to decarbonize. We have to build these buildings. And it's no longer, clients come to us saying, we want a low carbon structure. Give us a mass timber building. And so now we've pivoted. We are a timber first company. If timber makes sense for the structural component, we will start with a timber solution. If it doesn't, like we have many buildings in our office right now that are steel or concrete, because that's what makes sense for those buildings. But we do start with a timber solution, and our clients know that and they want that.
Steve, we talked about sprinklers a little earlier in the conversation. Maybe pick up on that. Is the sprinkler system that you would put in a mass timber building different or the same, or what, compared to a steel and concrete building?
So generally, the sprinkler system is going to be the same for a code-compliant mass timber building. So for building 12-story mass timber building that meets the building code, then the sprinkler system is the identical to what is designed for into a concrete or a steel building. Where we deviate is when we have projects like the two projects that have been mentioned, Limberlost Place at George Brown College and the Academic Tower at the University of Toronto. Both of those projects are designed by alternative solutions, which means that the design has to be demonstrated that it is as safe as what the building code allows. And by taking that pathway, in both of those structures, there's much more mass timber exposed than what the prescriptive requirements in the building code allows. And in that case, we introduce mitigating features into those buildings to offset the risk. And in that case, we might upgrade the sprinkler system. We might, for example, pressurize stair shafts, things like that, to increase the fire safety of the building so that it's demonstrably performs as good or better than a steel or concrete building.
Gotcha. You know, this is a couple of times now we've heard about Limberlost Place near the waterfront in Toronto. So, Philip, this is your project. We got some video of this. Why don't we take a look? Sheldon, I'm at number 16 here. Why don't you roll the video? And Philip, just again, for people listening on podcast who maybe can't see this, tell us what we're looking at.
This is a level 9. It's a sloped roof. These are long CLT panels. You can
CLT
see
means what?
CLT, cross-laminated timber. So it's where, I don't know if we want to get in the definition of that maybe later, but this is a sloped roof. We sloped the roof at Limberlost because it became the armature for the solar PV panels. It's angled south, 37-degree angle, the ultimate angle for solar PV collection.
And what is this going to be eventually?
This building is the School of Architecture and Computer Studies for George Brown College. It's an academic building. Level 9 is the office of the president and all the senior VPs and all the admin staff.
That's why it looks so good.
So
all the suits have got the best floor, right?
That's right.
Okay, that was pretty cool. Now it's all, I mean, it's wood and glass. It's that's what you
all
see.
Wood. That's what you see. We luckily, through Steve's assistance, we were able to expose all the wood. The building codes say you have to encapsulate it with drywall, mainly for flame spread. But in this case, we're able to expose most of the wood.
We got
50%.
some more viz here. Tell us about this. What are we looking at here?
Now we're up on level 10. This is an event space, huge soaring ceilings. Again, it's all exposed mass timber, large windows. One beautiful aspect of this building is the natural ventilation system. So we're also using daylight harvesting, so large open tall windows allowing the light to flood into the space. We're trying to meet Toronto Green Standard Tier 4 in this project. So we had to reduce our energy use for heating and cooling, but we also had to hit many other targets that no other building in the city of Toronto had ever met. So we had to pull out all the stops, left nothing on the table in terms of sustainability. But one thing that isn't really factored into buildings like this is the carbon sequestering nature of the wood. One misnomer about wood is that you think that a tree's volume gathers its size and volume from the minerals extracted from the ground. Well, that's not the case. It's actually from the air. Through the process of photosynthesis, the tree takes the carbon dioxide, stores the carbon in the fibers, and the byproduct is oxygen. So it's a carbon sequestering material that we've now placed into our building. We're holding onto that carbon, and we're regrowing those forests for future use of more buildings.
How much steel is in any of what we just saw?
Actually, there's quite a bit of steel at Limberlost. There's no true full mass timber building. They're all hybrid in some nature. In this case, the lateral system, meaning what's resisting the wind loads, is steel. So the elevator cores, stair cores in the center of the building are steel. We're hoping to go with wood. We weren't allowed to. It was one more alternative solution we weren't willing to go for. But there is quite a bit of steel in the building, and a lot of concrete too.
I want to ask the forester this question. What could this do? I mean, if this really catches on in a major way, what could this do to the forestry, the timber industry in the province of Ontario?
Well, the industry would have to speak on its own behalf. I've never worked for the forest industry, but I think that they are very excited about it as an innovative new product, and certainly our concern economically, I would think, is that we're sending our lumber, we export lumber to the US, that's our major wood export, and we're going to be buying back mass timber products from the US rather than manufacturing and fabricating them here in Canada.
Which
and
you
I
think we
think
should
that would
be doing?
Absolutely.
We should be doing
We should
that
be
here.
using our own wood because we continue to send not unprocessed, but we need to build our own manufacturing. So the mass timber sector is really the opportunity to use, also in a sustainable way, low and medium quality wood, and develop our own mass timber industry in Canada, not send our wood off for other countries to do it for us.
I get you, but what's stopping us from doing that right now?
History, tradition. It's a big country. As I said, we've done very well exporting lumber and pulp and paper, and that's changing. Markets are changing. The industry has less area to operate on, and I certainly think have a big incentive to be pursuing mass timber wherever it can.
On your projects, where do you get your wood from?
Almost exclusively from Canada. Now, the mass timber products are sort of a family of products. Glued laminated timber, which is primarily used in beams and columns. Cross-laminated timber, which we'd mentioned earlier for panels. Nail laminated timber, which a lot of people will be familiar seeing in historic buildings. But depending on the product and where the product is manufactured, sometimes that influences which trees and which forests they come from. So if the manufacturing plant is in Western Canada, for instance, it's more likely that those trees are going to be from BC and Alberta, and more likely that they'll be Douglas fir. Ontario, when we're making something from an Ontario product, we're usually using spruce pine fir from Ontario forests, and sometimes into Quebec as well.
This is a bit of a facetious question, although maybe not entirely, Philip. Do the floors squeak?
Luckily, no.
You sure?
Oh, yeah. I mean, no, they don't. They're solid, rigid panels. They're incredibly dense.
Okay, because I don't know a house that's made out of wood where the floors don't squeak, right? At some point, the floors squeak.
They do. Well, the beauty of cross-laminated timber is it's a miraculous product. It gets its strength from crossing the lambs like plywood would, and it becomes a floor system. So you're using these panels for the floor. You could use it for walls as well, but traditionally they're used for floors. And you can use little pieces of wood, and they get finger jointed together to make these massive panels that can be as long as 60 feet, 12 feet wide. And it's when you drop that down, you've just put in a massive amount of floor plate in one single lift. And that's
Your
where
comment brings up an interesting point, Steve. There's actually very little in mass timber construction that relates to what people traditionally are used to as carpentry and house building. The materials are different, the techniques are different, The structural systems are different, even though it all comes from trees. So almost none of the comparisons between house building, whether it's from fire, whether it's from squeaks on floors, whether it's from an understanding of the connection strategies, applies to mass timber building. So there's a public perception gap in a lot of ways, because when people hear about a mass timber building, as you alluded to earlier, sometimes people say, oh, isn't it going to set on fire? But the way that those buildings behave in every way is completely different than house building.
Good. And how about mass timber and the potential role, more broadly, it can play in the whole affordable housing question, which of course we're obsessed with right now everywhere. What do you think?
I think the gentlemen I'm on the panel with have a better sense of that. But certainly it's an opportunity to use a sustainable wood product. And I think in all our imaginations, we would like to see building cities become huge carbon sinks, collecting CO2, greenhouse gases out of the air. And as we build, really being able to improve. If that includes affordable housing, and affordable housing should be designed to be beautiful and useful, and mass timber certainly provides that opportunity.
Philip, a word on that?
Yeah, there's like the Brock Commons project you're talking about. They were building.
Where's that?
Oh, in UBC,
Okay.
British Columbia. It's the 18-story student residence. They were doing 2 floors a week. No other construction can match that. So if you want to build housing fast, Fast and Up out of Vancouver, structural engineers, they're pioneering point-loaded systems, small little steel columns, but the floor systems are CLT, and they are going like rapid fire. They're beautiful, they go up fast. The labor force is actually quite small. Like Limberlost, 6 men built the wood structure. As compared to—
How many square feet you got there?
It's about 240,000 square feet.
Amazing.
6 men. It's about a floor every 10 days.
Why is it called Limberlost?
Oh, we had a donor, Jack Cockwell. He owns a forest south of Algonquin Park called the Limberlost Forest. He didn't want to name the building after himself, so he named it after his forest.
Nice.
Very fitting.
That's nice.
To follow up, yeah. I would just say that with respect to affordable housing, that I think we really need to have a national strategy about this. We have had no national strategy and very little support with respect to developing a mass timber sector. It's been left to the provinces to carry on in their own diverse ways. And so I think affordable housing is really an opportunity for the federal government to step in. They've provided essentially no investment in research, education, or business development for mass timber.
Steve, let me go back to you in the nation's capital. Would you have any concerns if this really were to catch on and there were much more significant adoption in the future?
Well, certainly, as our building codes evolve, they as I mentioned, the 2025 building code is changing to allow a bit more exposed mass timber in these buildings, but it generally still tends to be relatively conservative. So as this is adopted, I think these buildings will be safe. Of course, there's a learning curve for designers. Whether it's structural engineers, architects, and fire safety engineers, to be able to detail and build these buildings so that they will perform as we expect. But that's evolving along with codes and standards that are being updated yearly.
And Steve, in your travels, which type of people, which groups of people are the hardest to convince that this is all actually good?
Yeah, so that can be a challenge, absolutely. Of course, for these projects within the City of Toronto and in other municipalities to be approved, we have to be able to convince the building department that the building is designed and is fire safe. So to that end, we conducted a very large-scale test program that was funded by the federal government and provinces. In 2022, we built a full-scale 2-story mass timber structure, and we were able to invite over 200 attendees to witness the biggest of the 5 fire tests we conducted on the structure. And within that 200 people, we had building officials, we had the insurance industry, we had fire service, and these are all groups that have been relatively difficult to reach in the past, just because in the past we've done fire testing in a laboratory, and other than the research scientists that are there, and perhaps some industry representatives, it's very difficult to share those results through a 100-page report, for instance. And so
Right.
being able to invite those people to witness the fire test was really valuable.
In our last 20 seconds here, Christopher, what would you say to the skeptics to try to get them on board?
Well, I think, as I said earlier, to try and understand the difference between just a wood building that's a house and mass timber, and understanding that they're completely different materials with respect to how they can be used in the construction market. But there's a bright future, and people want to be around wood. They want to be in a wood building. They feel good around wood buildings. And all the arguments, whether it's economic development, whether it's sustainability, whether it's construction speed and access, all of them point towards wood being a future building material.
They really are beautiful, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's Christopher Williams from Timber Systems Limited. We've also got Phil Silverstein from Moriyama Tashima Architects, and Coven from the Mass Timber Institute, Stephen Kraft in the nation's capital from CHM Fire Consultants. Great to have all of you on TVO tonight. Thanks so much. Architect Ty Farrow's new book explains how we can intentionally design our environments to improve our physical and mental health. It's called Constructing Health: How the Built Environment Enhances Your Mind's Health. And he joins us now for more. Ty, it's great to see you again. How you doing?
Steve, very well. Great to see you.
Excellent. Constructing health. What do you mean by that?
Well, what we need to begin to start reimagining our built environments as health-generating systems, beginning to look at how the built environment affects our biological, our accelerants for our biological, our physical, and our mind health, and specifically using the word mind health instead of mental health, because it's seen as an asset-based view as opposed to a deficit-based view.
Do we not do this already?
Well, I think we, a lot of our environments that we build are, let's say they're like a hamburger. What do I mean by that? Well, a hamburger, if you think of it as something to eat, it's very practical, it's very functional. You don't need a plate and a knife, you can pick it up and eat it. It does what it's asked for. It gives you the protein and the calorie. But arguably what it does is a lot of bad things to your body because of the sodium content and other things. And it leaves you feeling empty after an hour. So how many of the environments that we inhabit do the same thing? And so what the basis of the book is trying to get into the idea that we have to look at our environments not for what the architecture is, but what it does, and what it does to your physiological, your psychological, and your biological health, meaning it's an accelerant for them.
And how do you know that doing it this way actually improves all of those things?
Well, there's two things that I discovered in researching the book, and they were around whales and mice. And so let's sort out how those relate to the book. The first thing is we spend more time inside our built environment than most whales do underwater. I mean, that's remarkable. But more so, we're very worried about the whales or the other marine things, because we know the microplastics and we know the other stuff have a terrible effect on the biology of the marine life. If we take that a step forward, at the University of California, Berkeley in the 1960s, amazing lady called Diamond, and she took mice. She put mice in a regular cage with a running wheel, mice in an enriched environment with things to run around and have fun. And then mice, what would be called an impoverished environment, like a lot of the places we occupy, like lab cages. And after 30 days, she dissects the brains. What does she discover? This is only 30 days, this mice in an enriched environment or impoverished. After 30 days, she found the mice in the enriched environments, the synapse connections between the neurons, very, very important, they grew at a rate of 25%. The cortex on top also strengthened. What happened to the poor little mice in the impoverished lab cages? Well, in fact, the synapse began to wilt the same way that a plant does without water or otherwise, meaning that the environment changes the structure of your brain, and it changes the biology of your body.
So there's every reason to assume, because with mice it's often the same as with humans, that if we work in a beautiful environment with a pleasant looking building as opposed to in a box that does nothing for you, that we will be, I don't know what, never mind happier, but more efficient, more everything when we come to work?
It's human performance. It's space as human performance. And what do I mean by that? Another example, if they looked at a study of 2,000 classrooms, 20,000 kids, and they looked at just the quality of daylight, not glare. And what did they discover? The students that had a good quality of daylight performed 25% better in reading and 20% better on mathematics. If I said to you, if you're running a business or an organization or something else, if I said I could enhance the performance of your team by 20%, would that have impact?
Sign me up.
Say I'm wrong. Yeah. Say it's only 15%. Right. Say it's only 10%. It's massive. And when you take that a step forward, that you look at, if you spend $1, a nominal, say $1 on a building, how much does it cost to over the same life of the building, does it cost to heat and cool it? $5. So you better focus on that, anything in the $1 that impacts the 5. But what's the cost of your team and your staff in that same period compared to the $5 and the 1? Is it $10? Is it $50? Is it $100? It's $200. So if there's any impact on that $1 that enhances performance, the ability to thrive and prosper, like the students in the classroom or the poor little mice or the enhanced mice, is the impact of any of that, those pennies on the dollars, has significant impact on the performance. And that's why we're being hired by a variety of these different groups, because it is about human performance as a result of the way we create the places we thrive and flourish.
Well, let's take a look at some of what you've been doing here. And okay, Sheldon, you want to bring this up? This is, I think, the Helmsley Cancer Center in Jerusalem. Look at that building. Now, if that doesn't wake you up and make you feel good about the world when you come to work every day, okay, we've got people listening to us on podcast now who can't see this. So describe for them what we're looking at here.
So this is the largest mass timber building in the entire region. This is built in a city that's 5,000 years old, and it is the largest and the biggest mass timber in that area, city that's built of stone, that has no building codes that allow it to be built. This is shot from some of the shots from the side, but when people come up, it's a cancer center, and they call it the butterfly. And why a butterfly? Well, the butterfly is important because buildings communicate to us. Our body is like a radar dish. And a butterfly is a symbol of the metamorphosis that you're going through on a cancer journey, like from a little caterpillar to a bug. But back to performance and the impact of this on the organization. Like every hospital around the world, there are so many positions that are empty. They can't get staff to come. And even the relatively new cancer centers in that country, they have the same problem. Our building, they have a lineup of people wanting to come and work there because it makes them, it's how the building makes them feel, the staff, and how it makes them feel different. And all of these things can be quantified now. They're not sort of, loose things. And I finished a Master of Neuroscience applied to architecture. The first Canadian with that degree. I have a degree at Harvard as well as U of T. But I'm the first Canadian that's studying the effect of space and performance. And this thing, the book, is about disseminating the information so we can get it out further.
Well, let's try this. What can you do with mass timber that you can't do with concrete and steel?
So mass timber is very interesting for a variety of different reasons. And your earlier group, it was a very interesting discussion. The impact of mass timber design on health is effectively like a four-legged table, like this table, with health sitting on top of it. And design has a significant impact on ecological health, and that was the discussion, on your earlier panel. 1 cubic meter of wood is the equivalent of 3.5 cars driving for a whole year. So that's very important. The other important thing is design's impact on our physical health or our economic health. Clearly, wood is very important on economic health because a lot of the small communities in Ontario This is, floating their boats, and that impacts societal health. But the important piece of the puzzle is we're not building these buildings just to solve the ecological thing, is we're building them to house people, and people gets back to performance. And so wood buildings has an impact, again, back on mind health, which is the asset-based view of it. And what do I mean by that? That if you look at the sound of wood, when you walk on a wood floor, that has an impact on your theta and beta waves in your mind, which is the stress side. It begins to reduce it and increases the calming side of it. The scent of cedar, that lovely, that sauna you go into, what that does is reduces your cortisol levels, which puts you in a better frame of mind for thinking. And visually, it is significant because it increases social interaction, relaxation. People want to linger and spend time together. If you look at it in schools, we use a lot of it in our school environments. Why? Because it enhances the performance of students on their tests.
So tell me this then. We've been hearing business and governments for decades complain about our lack of productivity in this country. You seem to have opened a potential door here that could see our numbers spike. What would have to happen in this country for there to be greater acceptance in a move towards doing more with this?
We are clearly in a period where we're beginning to take more of a holistic view of what we do and how we build. Why has that happened? Because we went through COVID. And why aren't we going back to the office? Because we've discovered there's somewhere else.
We don't like being in these tuna cans anymore that don't inspire us.
That's right, yeah. Because I perform better in these environments. And so obviously a lot of our working environments are problematic as a result of it. But I think we've begun to discover that, some places make us feel really great and others suck the life out of us. And so if it's all about human performance, where we live, where we work, where we heal, where we learn, the social interaction, the places we want to linger and spend time with, these things have a significant impact as a result of the places we crave.
The book is absolutely gorgeous, and you've got fantastic pictures in there of different places around the world where you are doing work. How about here in Canada? What are you catching on in Canada at all? You got some projects on the go you can tell us about?
We are. We have in the education sector, we've been very, very busy, and in fact, a variety of independent schools, because they're connecting the dots between places that create social interaction and gathering and empathy and sharing. And then globally, we are very busy. We've got a dozen projects in Ireland. We're very busy in Europe. Israel, we've been very, very busy because a lot of the leadership are beginning to connect the dots between what their aspirations are as an organization and how you can use space as an accelerant to enhance the culture of the organization, the performance, or people just simply wanting to go back to the office.
I'm tempted to ask you, what's the least healthy building? I don't know, you know Toronto pretty well. Look around downtown Toronto or anywhere else. You look at a building that screams unhealthy to you. Which one?
Well, let me just flip that around slightly. Let's pick two very significant buildings in the city, and what do they communicate to you? So let's take the ROM and let's take the AGO.
Okay.
And so the ROM you come up to, it's got these sort of jagged shapes coming towards you, and a little mouse hole that you go into, which in fact they're renovating for a couple hundred, about 100 million or so, to open it up. When you walk inside, it's mostly drywall with with angle walls and a little light. Let's take another cultural institution as a comparator. Let's take the AGO. When you come towards it at the entrance, the building begins to curve back. In fact, a lot of timber in that. There's a canopy that protects you in case it's raining or otherwise. And then when you come up into the gallery spaces, you've got this sort of timber that sort of fades open, and you look out onto the street. And in fact, even in the central space with a curving stair, that accentuates you to want to move through it.
Yes.
Because of the materials. Both of those communicate very, very different messages on how the environment makes you feel.
And I know which one you like better now.
Well, I'm just giving examples as opposed to a critique.
I get you.
Discussion.
Let's say the name of the book again. Constructing Health, How the Built Environment Enhances Your Mind's Health. Seems so logical. Anyway, Ty Farrow, it's good of you to come into TVO tonight. Thanks so much.
Great to see you, and always great to chat.
You wouldn't expect to find a 12-foot papaya tree growing in Ontario, but Drew Rain has been growing and harvesting tropical fruit in his backyard for over a decade. We'll hear about how and why he's been so committed to such a difficult gardening challenge.
Oh, hey, how's it going? So you want to know about trees, exotics, growing in Ontario. You've come to the right place. I'm going to show you guys my secret garden that I've been growing for the last 10 plus years. I got a bunch of exotics and some rare plants in Ontario, some rare trees and stuff. Come on in, come check it out. Tropical fruits in Ontario, from anything from citruses, oranges, kumquats, lemons, cedral lemons, limes, papayas, bananas. It's just an endless assortment of stuff that you can actually grow in Ontario without a greenhouse. Why would anybody want to grow tropical fruit trees in Ontario? It just sounds crazy, right? Like, it's minus 20, 50% of the time of the year. It's windy, there's zero sun. It's just, the conditions are just brutal, right? Screw that. Ever since I came to Canada, so I'm originally from South America. I was born on a sugarcane plantation. My father was a sugarcane cutter. We used to have papayas, sugar canes, mangoes. And when I came to Canada, I still wanted to grow these fruit trees. I still had that passion for it. And the fruits that would come in wouldn't taste as good or fresh like the stuff you get at the supermarket. So I was like, let me start growing my own stuff. I love growing tropicals because, I mean, it reminds me back to a happy place when I was a kid, climbing a papaya tree and eating a fresh papaya. A lot of people that I know don't really connect to it. So they may be confused, like, why is this guy growing a subtropic or a tropical plant in his house? Like, what's involved? What is he doing? Does he have a job? Like, what's going on here, right? But I love that stuff, and the reward from it is great. In the winter, and it's cold out there, I'll just sit underneath my tree or beside my tree, and I'll like grab an orange and I'll eat it, right? That's my little retreat. It throws me right back to like a vacation mode. It's like a really cool, emotional thrill ride from it. It's like a really weird thing, I guess, to try to grow, tropics indoors. A lot of challenges associated with it, but I like a challenge. And you're using, a different part of your brain that you're not, used to using daily. We all have like a stressful life. Just plant an orange tree and just love it, right? It's gonna give you so much reward from it. It's gonna take that stress out. You're gonna sit there, you're gonna smell the flowers. It's a great meditative tool, to be honest. It's really cool. This is like the pre-Honeycrisp apple. It's smaller than a Honeycrisp, but it's just as sweet and tarty. Love this tree. I've been growing this tree since it was a stick, literally a stick that's about 2 feet tall. I got it from a nursery in York Region. He told me I could take this stick and plant it in the ground. I thought he was lying. All my friends would come over, they would laugh at me. They're like, hey, this guy's growing a stick. What's gonna happen? Now I have this, 10-foot tree that grows one of the most delicious apples you could ever taste. It's phenomenal. It's about to flower soon, and it's gonna attract a lot of bees, and it's gonna grow some fat apples. This guy, pink reddish flowers. Apple is red on the outside, and inside it's also red. I've never seen a fruit like this in a supermarket. Again, grew from a stick. Here, I'll show you the crown jewel that I've been growing for 10 plus years. It's called the Pawpaw. It's native to Ontario. I love to do the impossible. If it's difficult to grow, I will want to grow it. I want to grow a jackfruit next. I want to, right? Like, those are some crazy trees. The more difficult it is to grow, I want to try it. That's why when I first found out about these pawpaws, I was like, I gotta find out about it. I want to grow it, and let's grow it. And now I've got my first bloom ever since I got it. I'm like excited about that. And my friends who were making fun of me are not gonna be trying any of those fruits. Going to the supermarket and not being able to access fruits that are grown in Ontario is wild to me. The reason you can't buy a pawpaw in a grocery store is because it has a short lifespan. It gets bruised, it decays relatively fast, it doesn't transport easily, but that shouldn't stop you from buying a tree, planting it and taking care of it and eating a fresh pawpaw, in the next couple of years from now. It doesn't look like much right now. This is my pawpaw. I've been growing this majestic, subtropical, native to Ontario tree that looks like a tropical tree, that gives off a very tropical fruit, looks like a mango, tastes like a custard apple, and is one of the most difficult trees that I've been growing for the last 10 plus years. This year, this tree is finally flowering. This is the pawpaw bloom. It's gonna flower very, very soon. Can't wait, super excited. 10 years in the making. Now I need to find another local tree that I can actually cross-pollinate with this flower because my other pawpaw is too lazy to flower, guys. Hopefully this year I'm gonna get my own pawpaws to eat. One cool thing that's happened is, side note, since weed got legalized, there's been like an influx of cannabis stores. So you walk in there, they think you're cool, you're into that cannabis culture. But I'm just going there and asking them stuff about how do I fertilize my papaya? How do I get more oranges? I need something to increase my bloom. Can you give me a bloom organic? And they're like, oh yeah, what is it? I go, it's a fig. They're like, oh, okay, it's a papaya. He's like, okay. They probably think I'm joking with them, to be honest, but the garden centers don't have this stuff. The garden centers have the basic fertilizer or the basic herbicides. So this is mangosteen. This is like my favorite fruit. It tastes delicious. It looks like a brain inside here, a white fleshy brain, but it tastes sweet and tangy at the same time, super refreshing. So let me cut this guy open. I mean, it's scary sometimes buying fruit that you're not familiar with. Like the first time I bought a mangosteen at the supermarket, I didn't know what it was. And 70% of it was spoiled and it was like disgusting. I didn't know if that's what the fruit was. But I was lucky, I got 30% really good fruit in that batch, and it was one of the best tasting fruits I've ever had. I think that's there's some consumer education missing, that people don't have access to these fruits and stuff. I like trying new stuff. If I see something I've never tried, I'll go buy it. You just gotta really just try it and see what's different, and if you like it, you like it, right? Yeah, if you get ever chance to try something new, just do it. It just opens up your palate. I started with little simple things, peppers, and then I started to push the boundaries. I started to grow pomegranates. I would get a pomegranate from the store, plant the seed, and I would grow it for like 6 years. It would start to flower, and then the dogs would destroy because those fruit sticks are really sweet. So once a dog has it, they'll just destroy it. So I've replaced so many of those trees. But citruses, dogs do not like going near citruses because they're thorny. So here is a collection of some of my exotics that I have. This is my banana that has been beaten up by the local Ontario weather. It's still alive, still doing pretty good, guys, but you can see some stress marks on it or whatever. It's a great tree to have, very low maintenance. But in the summer, this will be like a vibrant green. This has another 2 years before it actually fruits. Once it fruits, you got to chop down that banana because a banana will only fruit once on that tree. And that's why these other suckers I've kept, because I'm going to replant them in another plant soon. And these guys will give off bananas. This is a kumquat tree. This will grow a ton of kumquats in the winter. Who doesn't like the smell of an orange grove in your kitchen? This is a citrus tree. It's an orange tree, and when it flowers, it just takes over the house. It smells just like a citrus grove in Florida. I bring these guys inside because obviously the beautiful Canadian winter just decimates and destroys these tropical trees. But yeah, this is such a great tasting orange, and you grow about like 15 to 20 oranges that are probably one of the sweetest and crispest oranges you will ever eat, unless you go to Florida and handpick one from a tree. Grapefruit. And this is a lime, and it grows me limes that I use in my Coronas in the summer. It's very thorny. My dog hates this tree. This is a cedro lemon. One of the biggest lemons that they actually have out there. It's grown in Italy. Beautiful tree. Thorns are massive. The fruit are massive. It's probably that size of a lemon that you grow. You use it, you can candy the lemon, or you can use the rinds for cooking. Great tree, very low maintenance, and it grows really big and really fast. Summer it does phenomenal, and I just water it with that drip system, and I'm good to go, and I leave it, and I just watch the lemons grow. So now this is the dark side of growing tropicals in Canada. This papaya was doing phenomenal up to maybe 2 weeks ago. I decided to bring it out a little bit early to get a bunch of sun, because this winter we've had very little sun altogether. The days were still dipping down below 12 degrees, not frost, but colder. The papaya started to show some signs of stress. What you see here is an example of cold shock, when a tree gets really stressed out. I'm just missing the fruit season, which sucks. There's some green leaves that are still growing out of here. Very disappointed, I'm hurt. This is a great tree, one of my favorite trees. It's 12 feet at once with all the canopy. We'll have some days that it's 20, but the evenings will go down to like 8 degrees, and it will shock your tree. It's weird because you do build a connection for these guys. Like my papaya, like I'm sad because it got shocked, and now I'm like, in father, mode that I got to protect it and nurse it back to health or whatever. Because in the wintertime when I'm stressed and depressed, I'm sitting underneath that and I'm just like chilling. Right? It's just throwing me back to a happy time. If you're a young adult and you plan on having kids, go buy a tree. Your kids are gonna love that stuff. Now my kids are at the age that's all they want to do is play outside with me and pick trees, and I have such a great connection with my children. My daughter, she's climbing the ladder to climb a 10-foot papaya tree indoors in a winter storm in Ontario.
Got the papaya. Best papaya ever.
Here's a look at something we're working on.
President Biden is perfectly willing to sacrifice his environmental goals in the name of economic warfare.
That's coming up on the agenda.